regarding prayers this morning. I don't take nothing away from the service. We feel the Spirit's here this morning. If you're lost and undone, and God is speaking to you, today is the day of salvation. Harden not your heart. Some people say, well, it's not the time of the day or whatever like that. I'm persuaded that God's time is never wasted. Not even down to the very moment. His word is not wasted. It accomplished to where it is sent. I preach. Brother Darrell preach. Chad, these other brothers, Brother Mike. But God is the one that gives the increase. And all I can do is be obedient to Him. And if God will bless this morning, we'll try to sing a song and we'll preach if the Spirit moves. What you see before you is not all within. Once I was broken and battered by sin, and the story I tell you is such a marvelous thing. How love brought together a beggar and king. I traded for riches the rags of my soul. He gave him the pieces and He made me whole. I brought to Him nothing. He gave me everything. He found a beggar and I found a king. You say it's so hard for you to. Well, all I can say is that I agree. Of all the love stories this world could bring, how love brought together a beggar and king. I traded for riches the rags of my soul. He gave him the pieces and He made me whole. I brought to Him nothing. He gave me everything. He found a beggar and I found the king.
Very true.
You know, there's nothing like the Lord Jesus Christ. I can tell you that this morning. You know, we hear that there's trouble in the land today. And there is an enemy in the land. The Bible says he is as a roaring lion, going to and fro, seeking whom he may devour. This morning when I got up and I got to thinking a little bit about the Lord and about God, He was present. Randy, won't you just lay here in this warm bed? It's cold outside. Roads may be slick in spots. But I had to get a little farther than that. Maybe you'll go out there this morning. Brother Darrell will call you in the arrangements and you may have to get up and preach. And what a sorrowful sight you are. to get a little farther than that. Then I heard him say, well, you're not fit for this, you're not fit for that. But I've got good news for you this morning, friend.
Lord, do bless.
Though we live in a troubled world, yet Jesus said, in me you shall have peace that compasseth all understanding.
Yeah, thank goodness.
When the Lord moves on the scene, Brother Darrell, and the peace comes, oh, it just boggles my mind how that he can settle down. But listen to me, I recall one time about a troubled little woman. The Bible said that she had an issue of blood for 12 long years.
Yeah.
And she spent all that she had trying to get better from this sickness that she had. Listen to me. And she heard of a man coming by the way. Listen. And she made up her mind. She said, I like this. Listen, if I could touch the hem of his garment, I believe that I will be made whole. For 12 long years she spent everything that she had trying to get better, friend. How long will you hold between two opinions? The Bible talks about a valley of decision. Listen, you may be in that valley this morning, but your change of getting out, listen, happened about 2,000 years ago, friend, on an old rugged cross. They crucified the Son of God. Listen, this woman began to say, if I could touch the hem of his garment, maybe I could be made whole. And I could imagine, he said, that there was a great crowd around him. And what did she do? She wanted this more than anything in life, friend, to touch the hem of his garment. And he said that she pressed through the crowd, and she reached out and touched the hem of his garment, and immediately, Brother Joy, listen, that issue of blood was dried up. Listen, and Jesus said, who has touched me? Listen, Master, there be many around you, they touched you on every side. But he said, I felt virtue go out of me. Listen, the little woman, listen, I began to say that she was the one. And what did he say? Listen, go and sin no more. I thought about another time. Listen, and maybe I preached it. It had not been too long ago, Brother Darrell. But the Lord's going to bless me this morning. I want to preach it again. Oh, friend, have you ever been down the Jericho Road? Listen, I told you like this. The history teaches that Jerusalem is 2,800 feet above sea level, and listen, Jericho is 280 some feet below, listen, sea level. From Jerusalem to Jericho is a downhill road. Listen, Randy had been on that road. Listen, friend, the Bible begins to talk. Listen, and he said there was a rich man, listen, sitting by the wayside, called Barnabas, listen, and there he sat by the wayside, and he heard again of a man coming down that way, and he said that he cried out, "Oh, Son of David, have mercy on me." Listen, and they tried to make him be quiet. Listen to me, friend. When you start to do what the Lord is bidding you to do, I tell you this, that you got an enemy that's trying to get you not to do that. Listen, tell him to be quiet, and he cried the louder. Listen, the Lord came over to where he was, and he said, "What would you have me to do?" He said, "Have mercy on me, Lord, that I may receive my sight." Listen, he told him to come. What did Barnabas do? He laid aside his garment and he went to the Lord. I tell you what you got to do this morning. You got to lay aside the world, friend, and come to the Lord. If he's been you, listen, Randy, don't you know that we're living in this world? Yes, I know that we need a shelter over our head. We need a vehicle to get to where we're going. And listen, coming to, listen, we need a job to make our money and all that we may live and all this. But don't you know, friend, that everything that you possess belongs to God, and he giveth as he giveth, friend. Listen, when a man is lifted up in pride, he begins to say, "Brother Trey, look what I've done." Oh, listen to me, I've done nothing this morning worthy of heaven, but there was a God that loved me so much that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but ever have everlasting life. And then he began to say that he healed the blind man there that day. Listen, then I recall of another time where he said that a lawyer came to him and said, "Lord, what must I do? Listen, to inherit eternal life." Listen, what he began to say to him, he said, "You know the commandments." "Yes, I know. Listen, that I must love the Lord with all my heart and with all my soul and with all my strength." Listen, and mind. Listen, and he said, "Not only that, but love thy neighbor as thyself." And then the question was asked, who is my neighbor? Listen, friend, I recall a time, listen, that I began to go down the same road as a young man went down, and I fell among the thieves as that young man went down. Listen, that Jericho road, listen, they stripped him, they cast him to the side, listen, and they left him there, listen, half dead, listen, in that ditch. Listen, I'm glad this morning, listen, you're looking at one I used to be half dead too, brother. Listen, this side that you look at here, listen, I was alive, listen, in the flesh, but inside, that devil had revived, listen, had took and wounded me, and he killed me, and was trying to destroy me, and cast me to the wayside, as though I was nothing. Oh, listen to me, there road. Listen, they were devout men as Levites. Listen, he talked about Cain. Listen, to where this man was led by the side of the road, who had been robbed, who had been wounded, and left dead friend there in the ditch line, and he walked on by on the other side of the road. I've got news for you this morning. There's more compassion in the Lord than they are in anything else in this world. Don't look to Randy this morning, but if there's anything that I want to point you to, I want to point you to the cross. Listen, friend, listen. And he began to say, listen, like this, that there was a certain, listen, man came by that way, a good Samaritan. I thank God, brother, listen, when the Lord, listen, found me laying by the wayside. I didn't have anything else to live for. Listen, that I took time, listen, to come over where I was at. Brother Chad, take me in his arms, friend. Listen, and carry me, listen, up onto the road there. And he poured in wine, listen, and oil into my wound. Listen, he wrapped me up, Brother Joy. Listen to me. He took a broken heart, a contrite spirit, and he made it whole. He put a new heart in me, just as that blind man laid aside his garment. I put off the old coat and put on the new. Listen, friend, and there's nothing like, listen, that feeling. And as I thought about that, he dressed me, listen, in a robe of righteousness. Friend, listen, he banded up my wounds. Listen, as that a good Samaritan laid that man upon his beast there. Listen, oh, ain't it wonderful when you can climb up on the wings of God, friend. No wonder he said it like that. Listen, as the story began to say, as a man and Lord walked together on the beach. Listen, and there was two sets. Listen, of prints in the sand. Listen, as they walked along, the man began to look and listen. He seen that there was one set of footprints in the sand, and he began to call out to go to the Lord and say, Lord, you walk with me. I seen the two sets. Listen to prints in the sand. Where are you now? Listen, I only see one set of footprints in the sand now. Listen, and he said, the Lord spoke to him and said, son, that's not yours. Footprints in the sand, but they are mine, for I'm carrying you. I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I fear no evil, for he is with me. Thy rod and thy staff, he comforts me, friend. Listen, what are you talking about, Randy? When you come down to die, no, friend, every day of my life, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, friend. But the Lord is always with me. What do you mean that you walk through the valley of the shadow of death? Listen what Jesus said. He said, my time is not yet, but your time is always. It wasn't yet time for him to be crucified, but he meant my time is appointed, but your time is always. Listen, he placed that man upon his beast, and he took him to the end. Listen to me, friend. Brother Dad would love to have you here feel free in saying this. He wants you to get your name enrolled in the Lamb's Book of Life. Friend, He wants you to get in the old church, friend, and not the name over the door. Listen, salvation in no other name, neither was there given any other name under heaven whereby that we must be saved. Listen, He took that man to the end there, and listen, He told the innkeeper, here is some money now. Listen, take care of him. Listen, when I return, listen, if there's any more owed to you, I'll pay you. Listen in full. Listen, the Lord said it like this. Listen, be not troubled, little children. Listen, let your heart be troubled. If you believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house is many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. He said, I'll go away, prepare a place for you. And if I go, I'll come again and receive you unto me. That where I am, there you may be also, brother. This time, He's not buried over in a tomb in Jerusalem. This time, He rose at third and appointed morning. He got up from the dead and He said, behold, I live and I live forevermore. Listen, friend, I want to tell you this morning, if you've ever been down on the Jericho Road, there is hope for you. There's someone looking for you.
That's right.
Why you need? Listen, He said, my arms are not short. What can I say?
No.
Listen, He's looking for you. Little Chad put it about the sheep. Going astray. He's looking for that lost sheep.
Yeah.
Listen, I've done too much. Listen, if the Lord is speaking to you, and if you wouldn't be here this morning, if you thought you'd done too much.
That's right.
You didn't bring yourself, the Lord brought you this morning. I had to conquer and overcome those words this morning that was in my mind. I had to lay them aside, and I had to come to church this morning. Listen, God is doing the same thing to His people. He's calling them. If you hear His voice, harden not your heart. Listen, you feel trouble and you think the devil has beat you down, there is a good Samaritan. Listen.
Pass it by.
Pass him by your way. You think you've been on the road to Jericho and it seems like it's a downhill spiral, and you're heading downhill. I got news for you, friend. Listen, the good Samaritan's been on that road more than many years. He knows every bump, every rock it's hit.
Right.
He knows them all. And He's looking for you.
Always.
And He'll not pass you by if you have a broken heart and a contrite spirit.
That's right.
You say, well, pray for my family. Pray for my son. I've heard another say that God will save me. I said, I can't pray that prayer. Listen, I'll be praying in vain. It's not in God's will that any should perish. But it all come to repentance and belief. God is already doing His work. You need to do your work. Listen, I seen a news broadcast, and I'll give way to Brother Mike just in a minute. Not too long ago, two teenage boys that were out on a pond that was froze over. They thought they would get across to the other side, and they got out there in the middle, Brother Darrell, and the ice got thin. And as I watched that, my mind began to revelate. There was one old tree out there in the middle of that pond where they was at. It didn't have a leaf on it. It was broken out about third way up. Listen, these two boys clinged to that old tree. And they got their feet up on that tree, and they held there for 4 hours. They left their boots and all in the water and up on that thin ice. Listen, they got up there. They they took their bottoms off and put it over their feet to keep their feet warm. And they clung to that old tree that was in the middle of that pond for 4 long hours. Well, listen to me, friend. Again, I would say there was a time in my life where I was skating on thin ice, and there was an old tree about 2,000 years ago that our Lord was nailed to. Listen, where I found the cross.
Yeah.
And I found salvation.
That's right.
And I come obedient to that. That's when the Lord moved in and saved me.
Yeah.
I'm not the man that I used to be. And you know that. Listen, man. The Lord made a change in me. It wasn't Randy. Randy tried it. He tried to work it out. He tried to make himself a fit subject for God.
Sure. Done good enough.
And I found a dead end.
Yep.
Today. Down on my knees, June the 24th in 79, I said this, and I said, I said, Lord, I can't go on like this anymore. I can't fix this.
Nope.
I can't work this out. I tried. And it's just like he said, son, get out of the way. And let me show you how it's done.
Yeah.
And he worked a work in me that this world can't give me.
Nope.
Give me salvation. He established my goings. He set my feet upon a solid rock. And someday he'll call for me, and I'll watch. If I be dead or if I be living, I will answer. What do you want to hear, Randy? I'm praying and I'm hoping with every part of my being. If you get me into the joy of the Lord. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll let you go over them. But everybody's not going to hear that. Everybody's not going to hear that.
Nope.
Some will say, depart from me, you workers of me. I never knew. Cast it. Without arms. For there's weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth. Not a common thing to preach in today's times in a lot of churches about a lake of fire that burns forever and ever. And lost men and women are going in there. It's not as much to me, and as a man of God, to preach and try to get across some point of doctrine in this book than it is that I should preach salvation in the name of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Let God save your soul. He'll put you on the right road.
Yep.
He'll put you in the church that you need to be in, where you can work. And when he comes, he's going to give you home.
Yeah.
You trust in him. My prayer is, if you don't know it, that you get acquainted with him this morning.
Well done. Well done. Come on. Come on, please. Everybody pray for Brother Mark as he comes to